The story of a global shadow begins not in candlelit corridors, but in the stark daylight of 16th century Europe. From its very founding, the Society of Jesus was viewed with deep suspicion by other religious orders who recognized a new fraternity that would deceive many. From the very moment of its founding, the Society of Jesus was recognized by its own peers as something dangerously different. As early as 1551, an Augustinian friar warned the public of a new fraternity that would deceive many through a chameleon-like strategy. These operatives were trained to be a heathenist with the heathen, an atheist with the atheists, and a reformer with the reformers, all for the purpose of discerning the secrets of men's hearts and gaining access to the levers of power. This was not a conspiracy theory of the fringe. Even a zealous Dominican priest of that era feared a future where kings would desperately need to resist this order, but would find themselves completely lacking the means to do so. By the late 1700s, this reputation for Jesuitism, a term coined for their ruthless, pragmatic service to a centralized papal agenda, led to a stunning fall from grace. In 1773, the order was completely suppressed and dissolved by Pope Clement XIV himself after European rulers realized these men were a shadow government, involved in and able to influence everything. This appeared to be a mortal blow, but it was merely a strategic retreat. When the order was restored in 1814, it stepped back into a world of rising democracies and revolutionary fervor. These agents did not return to seize governments by force. Instead, they began the Phoenix strategy of building schools to capture the minds of the next generation. Fleeing the 1848 revolutions in Europe, thousands of these exiles found refuge in the United States. They brought with them the Ratio Studiorum, a rigid system of mental programming disguised as education. While the young American Republic celebrated individual liberty, these operatives were building a state within a state. In Maine, they deliberately sparked school wars over the Protestant use of the KJV Bible to justify creating a separate, closed educational system. In Louisiana, they promoted investigations into supposed miracles to strengthen emotional religious authority, just as the world was moving towards scientific reasoning. Their goal was to ensure that Catholic populations remained a loyal, disciplined bloc, isolated from what they viewed as the poison of American liberalism. Even during the American Civil War, their influence was subtle and calculated. Jesuit priests ministered to both the North and the South, deliberately avoiding strong national political alignments to prioritize their global mission. This raised a haunting question for many Americans. No man can serve two masters, Matthew 6:24. While the nation demanded patriotic loyalty, these men maintained a higher allegiance to a foreign throne in Rome. As the century closed and American influence spread into the Philippines, religion and empire moved in parallel. Jesuit institutions expanded alongside the new political map, effectively turning the U.S. government into a vehicle for their own cultural and spiritual expansion. The masterstroke of this long game occurred in 1919. As the United States stepped onto the world stage as a superpower following World War I, an American Jesuit named Edmund A. Walsh founded the School of Foreign Service, SFS, at Georgetown University. Crucially, this institution was established 6 years before the formal creation of the modern U.S. Foreign Service. Walsh, a pioneer of intellectual warfare, recognized that in the new era, power would be held by those who controlled information, diplomacy, and global commerce. In the 1920s, he led the Papal Relief Mission to Soviet Russia, a mission that provided the Vatican and eventually the U.S. government with intimate, ground truth intelligence on the Bolshevik regime at a time when the West was blind to the East. This school became the Forge of Spies, a bridge between the old world's suppressed orders and the new world's rising empire. The connection to the intelligence community is so deep, it is often dubbed a spy factory. The SFS faculty has historically served as a government in exile, featuring CIA legends like Ray Klein, Cord Meyer, and Jack Morey. Under deans like Peter Krogh, the school became a premier recruitment pipeline, ensuring the mind of the agency was shaped by Jesuit values. Walsh himself later served as a consultant during the Nuremberg trials, rewriting the curriculum of international justice and shaping the post-war world order. The alliance extended into darker shadows. Declassified documents reveal that Georgetown University Hospital served as a site for Project MK-Ultra, specifically Sub-Project 35. Through the Geschichte Fund for Medical Research, a CIA front, the agency funded research into biological and chemical warfare. This represented a literal capture of the American medical throne, where the pursuit of healing was eclipsed by the quest for total human control. Today, this influence remains total. From alumni like Bill Clinton to CIA Director William J. Burns, the Walsh Blueprint directs American foreign policy. The school serves as the brain of the beast, ensuring that whether a president is from the left or the right, the underlying intelligence curriculum remains unchanged. This influence now stretches across the post-Soviet states, where fellowships train future leaders of emerging democracies and into Latin America, Africa, and Asia. They have mastered soft power, injecting their moral arguments into international rhetoric to guide the world toward a unified global order. This is all part of the fulfillment of a terrifying prophecy. Scripture speaks of a lamb-like power that eventually speaks like a dragon, using its influence to cause the earth to worship a system that had once received a deadly wound. Revelation 13. The wound of 1773 has been healing. By training the elite who would staff the OSS, the CIA's precursor, and the State Department, the school effectively captured the machinery of the American government. They did not need to lead the nation. They only needed to advise the leaders. As the Bible declares, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Revelation 17:13. We are warned that our true struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. Ephesians 6:12. History shows that ideas and institutions carry more long-term influence than any army. Prophecy describes a final alliance between religious authority and political power that will influence every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. Revelation 14:6-8, 17:1-2. The merchants of the earth have been lured into a global framework where the curriculum for the leaders was written by the very order that once sought to destroy democracy. The call for the watchful today is one of extreme vigilance. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Revelation 14:12. The most destructive powers are those that build the framework through which the world is governed, quietly shaping minds in lecture halls and mission stations across generations. As the spiritual and political lines continue to blur, the final conflict is not about who holds the office, but about which authority truly commands the heart and the conscience. The trajectory of history is now unmistakable. The phoenix has risen from the ashes of 1773, and it has built its nest in the highest branches of the American cedar. The warnings of the Augustinians and Dominicans of old have materialized into a global reality where the Council of Ahithophel now guides the most powerful military and intelligence structure in human history. The deadly wound is healing, not merely by decrees, but by the quiet consensus of a ruling class trained to think, speak, and govern according to the beast design. The Jesuits have proven that to conquer a nation, you do not need to burn its cities. You only need to educate its sons. In the end, this is the ultimate fulfillment of the warning found in Revelation 18:23. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. The biblical term for sorcery here implies a spellbinding influence, a poisoning of the mind through deceptive mixtures. By capturing the educational throne, the school that trains the masters of war and peace, they have cast a spell over the nations, convincing the world that global centralization is progress. We are witnessing the living formation of the image to the beast, a political superpower that looks like a lamb, upholding the language of democracy and liberty, but speaks with the voice of the dragon, enforcing the dogmas and geopolitical will of the resurrected religious empire of the papacy. The call of the hour is to recognize that the structures of earthly power have been compromised by a wisdom that is earthly and devilish. James 3:15. The final test will not be a matter of political allegiance, but of spiritual sovereignty. As the world marvels at the beast and follows the guidance of its advisors, the faithful must heed the final, thunderous cry of Revelation 18:4. Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. The shadows have lengthened, the curriculum is set, and the final exam is upon us. We must now choose between the phoenix of earthly power and the Prince of Peace.